Before you click away from this video, hear me out. There's a real possibility that Abdul Carter could become an Atlanta Falcon by the end of the NFL draft. I'm going to break down how that could happen. Now, depending on when you're watching this, it could be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I'm currently in New Orleans for my bachelor party, and I thought it would be fun to share this idea. If we can gain just one subscriber from this episode, I'll wear my Falcons gear around New Orleans and stir things up with the Saints fans. Let's explore the path for Abdul Carter to land in Atlanta. Just yesterday, it seemed unlikely, but stick with me. Right now, there's a strong consensus that the first overall pick will be Caleb Williams. At number 2, the Cleveland Browns are reportedly eyeing Travis Hunter. If the Browns don't select Abdul Carter, then my theory might fall apart. If they take Carter, there's no way Atlanta can move from 15 to 2. However, if the Browns go with Travis Hunter, there's a lot of buzz around that right now, then things could change. Just a week ago, Abdul Carter was considered a favorite for the number 2 pick for Cleveland. Fast forward to now, and it looks like Hunter is the front runner. Let's say the Browns do go with Hunter, the Heisman winner from Colorado. At number 3, the New York Giants might consider Shedeur Sanders. They've added Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, but that doesn't mean they won't look for a quarterback. Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are under pressure, and drafting a quarterback could give them a reason to stick around for another year if things don't go well. Plus, they might genuinely like Shedeur Sanders as a player. Looking at the Giants, they don't really need Abdul Carter. They have Dexter Lawrence on the inside and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau on the edge. While they struggled last season, they're not desperate for help at linebacker. They might think, we've got solid edge rushers, let's take a chance on a quarterback instead. If the Giants pass on Carter, it could set off a chain reaction. The New England Patriots at number 4 might go for Armand Mabose, the offensive tackle from Missouri. While Mabose may not be viewed as a better prospect than Carter, the Patriots were very active in free agency, especially on defense. Under Mike Vrabel, they made several key additions, including Milton Williams from the Eagles and Harold Landry from the Titans. They also traded for Carlton Davis from the Lions and signed Robert Spain from the Raiders. Given all that investment in defense, it might make sense for the Patriots to focus on protecting their quarterback, Drake May, in the draft. Their offensive line has struggled, as shown by their Pro Football Focus rankings. Their left tackle is ranked 69 out of 81, which isn't great. Cole Strange has had health issues, and Garrett Bradbury is just average on a good day. The best player on the Patriots' offensive line is a right guard that most people have never heard of. Morgan Moses was signed as an insurance policy, but he's not seen as a long-term solution. After reviewing the Patriots' offensive line and their Pro Football Focus rankings, it's clear that drafting Armand Mabose makes a lot of sense if New England is serious about investing in Drake May. Sure, passing on a great defensive player is tough, but keeping May healthy is crucial. So, the Patriots have 2 solid options in the first round to bolster their offensive line and ensure that May doesn't end up getting carted off the field next season. Now, before we move on to the next pick that could lead to Atlanta moving up, let's consider the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5. They're in a tricky position. Many mock drafts have them selecting Mason Graham, but I'm not sure that's the direction Jacksonville wants to go. Abdul Carter would be a great pick, but with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen already on the roster, where does Carter fit in? They also have Mason Smith and Devin Hamilton, 2 solid day 2 picks from recent drafts, so they might be better off being patient. Here's my idea for Atlanta. Why not call Jacksonville and say, Carter doesn't really have a spot on your roster right now. You're pretty set at defensive tackle. How about you take an extra first-round pick and we'll take your 5th pick off your hands? Moving back 10 spots could help Jacksonville financially, giving them some cap savings while still allowing them to grab a good player at 15. Plus, next year they'd have 2 first-round picks in a draft class that isn't overflowing with elite talent. This approach isn't too far-fetched. Looking back at what the Cardinals did in 2023 to move up to number 6 with the Detroit Lions, they traded their 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for a 1st and a 3rd. While it's not as big of a jump, I think 2 first-round picks for 1 could get it done. At that point, ask yourself, who would you rather have, Abdul Carter or Mike Williams in the 20th pick in next year's draft? If it were this year's draft, would you prefer Carter or Mike Williams and Luther Burden? For me, It's an easy choice. I'm taking Abdul Carter. I know that having more picks always sounds appealing, but sometimes you don't need to overthink it. You look at a player who had 12 sacks in his first year as a true defensive end, possesses incredible physical traits, and has great size. You think, let's make the move up and hopefully find the answer to this franchise's long-standing search for a pass rusher. If it only costs you one future first-round pick, I'm all in, and I wouldn't hesitate for a second. If you're with me on this, hit that thumbs up button so we can see how many are on board with this plan. Look at this front five. It's not very intimidating right now, but if you add Abdul Carter opposite Leonard Floyd, and then you have rookies like Zach Harrison taking a big leap in their second and third years, along with Onyemata being a solid run stopper in the middle, this defense could start to take shape. I'm not saying it'll be world-class by 2025, but it's a step in the right direction. With Abdul Carter, the future looks much brighter for the Falcons. While I wouldn't say he's on the same level as elite pass rushers like Myles Garrett or even the hype surrounding Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker, I believe he has the potential to become a 10 to 15 sack player after a few years in the league. The biggest concern with Carter is his play strength and his relative inexperience at the position. But let's remember, he's only 21 years old. As he matures, he'll develop that man strength that comes with age, allowing him to fill out his frame and become more effective at setting the edge and anchoring against the run. If I told you that Abdul Carter is 90% of Micah Parsons, would you take that deal? I certainly would. I'd happily give up a future first-round pick and the 15th pick for a player who could be that impactful. However, Atlanta needs to do its homework on some of their potential draft targets, as a few have some off-field issues. For instance, Mike Green has faced allegations of sexual assault, though he was never charged. On the other hand, Abdul Carter has had some run-ins with the law. He was charged with a misdemeanor for having a little bit of marijuana in his dorm room back in September 2023. He also faced a more serious charge of simple assault in April 2024. The incident involved him confronting a tow truck driver about his car being towed, which escalated to him dragging the driver out of the truck and throwing him to the ground. Police were called, and while he had to complete some community service, he didn't serve any jail time. Teams will need to be comfortable with these off-field issues, as well as some injury concerns. During the combine, it was discovered that Carter has a stress fracture in his right foot. So he's not the cleanest prospect out there. Now, if Atlanta could move up to 5 with Jacksonville, it might be worth it. I know it sounds like a stretch, but let's look at the mock draft again. Caleb Williams is the favorite to go first, and Travis Hunter is likely to go second. Shador Sanders could fall past the Giants, who might realistically take him. The Patriots could be eager to grab Abdul Carter, but given their significant investments on the defensive side of the ball, it might be time for them to focus on building up their offensive line. They need to give their young quarterback a fighting chance. This could be one of those situations where the team has to prioritize what's best for them rather than getting caught up in the allure of drafting the best player available. New England has to address their offensive line, especially since this draft class isn't particularly strong at that position. Just look at Dan Moore, the former Steelers left tackle who struggled but still managed to land an $80 million contract with the Titans. That's a clear indication of how desperate teams are to find talent at tackle, which makes it even more crucial for the Patriots to focus on that area to protect their quarterback. If all of this plays out, Jacksonville at 5 could very well say, "Nope, we're staying put and taking Abdul Carter." However, they might also consider a future first-round pick and think, "We already have 2 great edge rushers. Let's move back a few spots, play it safe, and make this a win-win for both sides." That's the direction I'm leaning toward right now. If Atlanta makes this trade, they could secure Abdul Carter in the first round while still holding on to their second-round pick. This gives them flexibility, as they wouldn't feel pressured to draft another edge rusher after landing the top pass rusher in this draft. Instead, they could address other positions of need on defense. One area they haven't focused on in a while is cornerback. What about Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame? He missed a significant portion of the 2024 season due to a hip injury, which is definitely a concern. But let's not forget that in 2023, he was a surefire first-round talent. He returned for an extra season, got injured, and saw his stock drop as a result. This situation could actually work in Atlanta's favor. They don't have an urgent need for a starting cornerback, they just need to improve the position and add some depth. In 2023, Morrison recorded 3 interceptions and 13 pass breakups while allowing just 279 yards in coverage. He was a lockdown corner. Given that he missed a lot of time last season, teams will need to do their homework on his hip injury. But for Atlanta, this could be a great opportunity. They can draft Morrison in the second round without the expectation that he needs to start right away. The Falcons already have 3 starting corners, A.J. Terrell, Mike Hughes, and Clark Phillips. This allows Atlanta to give Morrison the time he needs to recover. They can let him get healthy and adjust to the NFL game from the sidelines. Other teams might expect him to start immediately, but Atlanta can afford to be patient. They can focus on getting him up to speed for 2025, and by 2026, if they decide to move on from Hughes, they'll already have a solid replacement. Worst case scenario, they'll have incredible depth at a crucial position. That wraps up today's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button down below.